This time, he wound up his momentum by spinning his whole body around like a dervish some yards away from the rock. Then, in a sequence of 3 advancing gyrations, he arrived with his sword singing through the air. He hammered it into the rock with such awful power that it would hardly have been surprising to see the stone sliced in 2. "Skika!" he gasped. There was a tiny spark at the point of impact. A scintilla flew off and over the heads of the slaves, hitting the wall with an almost undetectable ping. The only other sounds in the chamber were the chamberlain's groan of pain as he held his back, and ambiguous rumbles in the throats of the ornamentalist and the gourmet. With a stentorian bellow of laughter, the Gartham master stepped forward again. Standing beside the rock, he grimaced several times, swinging his sword. He balanced ponderously back on one foot, spun himself around once, and then, leaning on his front foot, drove the blade into the rock at full arm's length. "Hakskika!" he thundered. With a flash and boom of released energy, a white-hot chunk of rock the size of the chamberlain's head crashed to the floor. "Hakskika!" bayed the watching Skeksis in praise of their new emperor. "Hakskika Krokon! Hakskika! Hakskika!" In a minstrel gallery above, an assembled choir of pod slaves struck up with an anthem of conquest. Up and down the chamber the Gartham master minced to it, receiving homage. The ritual master held both hands on high, mumbling some words of benediction. At the side of the room, the slaves looked on, mute and expressionless. Their eyes were milky and unfocused. Beside the ravaged rock, the chamberlain cowered wretchedly. He was nothing now. Worse than nothing. A magnanimous gesture to one's defeated opponent was no part of the Skeksis' tradition. At best, he would be able to slink away when no one was looking and perhaps self-effacingly resume his duties as chamberlain, since none could deny his administrative competence. But the Gartham master was not so inclined. Slumped arrogantly on the throne with the ritual master kneeling before him, he effected an off-handed gesture in the direction of the rock. The rest of the Skeksis took their cue. Grinning and hissing, unsheathing their talons, they surrounded the chamberlain. In moments they had stripped him of his insignia, badges, chains, precious gems, even his layers of mouldering robes. In order to preserve his very skin, the chamberlain bowed low to the ground and crept away, whimpering, out of the chamber, clad only in rags and tatters. Now was the time of high rejoicing in the castle of the Skeksis. The choir sang on, while a silken canopy was held aloft over the Gartham master. "Krokon! Krokon!" the Skeksis acclaimed their new emperor as the ritual master gravely advanced to place the crown on his majestic head. The sceptre was solemnly handed to him, and he leaned forward to allow a robe of satin, trimmed with fur and winking with rubies and emeralds, to be laid over his shoulders. The ritual master stepped back from the dais and made deep obeisance. "Krokon! Krokon!" rang out the loyal cries as the remaining Skeksis also fell to their knees. The ritual master rose again and held out his hand. The ornamentalist stepped forward with a chalice which he handed to the ritual master. It was full of freshly drawn podvlaya, the life juice that the scientist extracted from captives when they were first brought into the castle, ready to be turned into slaves. The ritual master raised the chalice above his head and turned, offering it votively to the new emperor. The chalice slipped from his hands and hit the floor. Vlaia ran in rivulets across the spiral pattern. "Idiot archimandrite!" the Gartham master snarled at him, lapsing into unceremonial demotic speech. The ritual master's mouth and eyes were opened wide. "The crystal!" he babbled. "The crystal!" The Gartham master's jaw snapped shut. He listened, as did all the other Skeksis.
In the noise of their sycophantic rejoicing, they had not until that moment heard the warning ring emanating from the great crystal. The Gartham master leaped from his throne and rushed from the room, followed by the other Skeksis.
Behind them, slaves came forward emotionlessly to mop up the Vlaia. Their own Vlier had been distilled from them upon their arrival, and out with it had flowed both feeling and thought. Still clad in his robe and crown, and clutching his sceptre like a sword, the Gartham Master led the charge along the corridors of the castle and into the crystal chamber. There the 8 Skeksis talked agitatedly, gathered to see what the crystal had relayed to the castle from the crystal bats that monitored the planet. There it was! A Gelfling! The Gartham Master thrust out a quivering talon, and the rest, looking on, fell silent. The Gartham Master's eyes bulged with astonishment, then outrage. "Garthim!" he screamed. "Garthim!" In response to the summons, all around the castle, from the ceremonial chambers to the Garthim pit itself, the waiting Garthim, standing like suits of armour, came suddenly to life with a loud ticking sound. "A Gelfling!" the Garthim Master was bellowing. "On Ogra's high hill!" Huge black carapaces lumbered along the corridors to the tube that was the only exit from the castle. Down it they vomited forth into the world outside. Hidden in the shadows of an alcove, the Chamberlain watched the Garthim clatter past, then crept stealthily after them. Around the crystal, the Skeksis muttered ominously among themselves. This was inconceivable, a Gelfling still alive. The entire race had been liquidated. Surely they could not have regenerated themselves spontaneously. Things of that sort did not happen. The scientist was rapidly elaborating a theory of interrupted transmission. Suppose this inexplicable image in fact relayed an event that had taken place long ago, and that by some freak of physics he was not yet in a position to elucidate, was only now registering its electrical impulses on the receiving crystal. As a theory, it left a lot to be explained, but it was more plausible than a living Gelfling, and much less unnerving to the Skeksis. Gazing at the image deep within the crystal's dark core, the Gartham Master was hoarsely commanding his Garthim, "Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Kill